How's it going? Welcome in. Welcome into our first Astro Forecast of the return of Sage Goddess. I'm really excited to tell you that I am now the CEO of Sage Goddess after not being that for, hard to believe, almost a year, 3/4 of a year. So I am back at the helm. And so if you haven't been to sagegoddess.com, I just want to encourage you. There's lots of cool things there. It's under my control. I just want to take a deep breath and say thank you to everybody who's been working so passionately behind the scenes to make this happen, and to you guys for coming back and supporting Sage Goddess. And if you don't know who Sage Goddess is, because some of you just didn't know about all of that, there's a whole world that's waiting for you, and including, by the way, the return of Apothecary, which was a class that I designed. It's a long story. We'll get into it during the first session, but it's a class I designed on my 50th birthday when I went to Mexico with my children and had an incredible experience with a shaman in the middle of the jungle, and built this class, and then it got taken away from me. And so it was on my heart to come back and finish what I started. And so if you wanted to finish the second half of, if you loved what you got, I don't even know who taught it, what they did. I couldn't bear it because it was so incredibly painful to have it wrenched from my hands, and I didn't know what happened to it. But if you were happy with it, great. You know what I mean? If you finished the year and you're like, I got everything I needed, I'm thrilled for that. There are some of you who didn't feel that way. So thank you to Susan, who has helped me bring it back. And some people got refunds for the second half. So in that case, you'll need to purchase the second half with me. If you did not opt to get a refund, you know what I mean? If you paid for it, but you didn't finish it, then we're gifting it to those people. So if you didn't pay, you have to pay. If you did pay, you don't have to pay. If you have questions, we can try to answer them for you later. There's some discussions in the Dr. Athena Parakis group, because I don't want to take our time with this tonight. But I did want to tell you, thank you for celebrating with me. And if you had a great experience, I am happy for that. It wasn't me, but as long as you were happy, I'm happy too. But there are quite a few people who felt unfinished, and I certainly felt unfinished. So I'm here to finish what I started. So yeah, thank you for all of that. Thank you for welcoming me back at Sage Goddess too. The full moon on the 12th is in person for the first time. This is relevant to us. There's a store in Carson, California, where Sage Goddess lives, and we are doing the full moon in person for the first time since before COVID, which is really incredible. We are 2/3, 3/4 of the way reserved. You need a ticket because a lot of people are flying in and driving in from all over California, and they're flying in from different parts of the US. And so we have one room, right? We want to make sure everybody's comfortable. So Circe, who's our moderator in chief for our Wax and Wane community, and certainly these lives, has the link for you. Just make sure you have a ticket. What I think is going to happen, and I told my sister this because she's helping me run it. She's a marketing genius in her own right. I'm like, I totally love that you have tickets. My people don't listen. God bless you, but you don't. And I don't listen either. So if there was a ticket for a thing, Lee can tell you, I wouldn't have the ticket. I would just be like, waha, I'm here, what's up? And then someone would say, waha, like, where's your ticket? And I'd go, what ticket? So don't do that, right? It's free. You need to go to the Eventbrite. It's Eventbrite, Sage Goddess Homecoming, sagegoddesshomecoming.eventbrite.com, I think. So anyway, if you go, waha, I'm going to go, waha, go ask Kristen if there's space for you. Okay, surprise. You don't listen, and it's fine. I have taught you not to listen. So this is my own fault. My children don't listen. My animals don't listen. My dog was trained for a year. My dog acts like never saw a trainer, who dat, like who dis, I don't like, right? That was money down the drain. So I'm not judging you. I'm just saying, let's follow the rule here, because my sister is a beautiful soul. She must have, I haven't checked her outer planets. They must be all in Capricorn. She's all business. She's a Cancer, but she only plays one on TV, right? So she's going to be there with like her list. And if you don't have the thing, so I just want to make sure you're prepared. And then if you're online, I mean, You don't have to worry about any of this. Maybe that's the right thing to do. But anyway, I'm thrilled that you're here. Today is a lot of things. Monthly horoscopes. April, whoa. Do you feel it already? April's like the person you didn't invite to the party. And they're kind of fun, but they're also a little weird. And so everybody's like, did you invite her? And everybody's like, no, all right, she's kind of cool. And then people are like, but she's kind of weird. That's kind of what April's like for me right now. By the way, welcome into the other beloveds of our virtual community, Lauren Conway, who's here with us tonight. Vanya often joins us. She does your worksheets. Jessica's here. And so I just want to say thank you too. Anyway, I'm so glad you love Wax and Wane. I do too. I think Wax and Wane is so much fun. People have asked me, if there's only one program you joined for the year, what would you do? And I'm like, honestly, I mean, is it weird? But Wax and Wane, because you're going to get the new moon after party and full moon after party. You get the astrological what's up for the month, and then you get the high holidays and elder council. You know, like, I mean, elder council will also be part of apothecary, but I just love it. I've had a lot of fun with it. So anyway, cheers. Thank you for being here. We exist because you exist, and we're grateful. So we're going to talk about, we always do the astrological forecast for the month and then the horoscopes by sign. And I'm going to tell you, I think my horoscopes are good. This month, I thought it was really good. There's a couple of you who won't like them. Thank you so much for saying I'm funny, by the way, because sometimes I don't know, right? I'm here alone in the room most of the time. Lee's here, so I can kind of gauge, you know, for the first half. And then after that, I'm like, I don't know if this is funny. So I just trust that you're actually laughing, and because sometimes I think I'm really funny and nobody else does. And if you would ensure we have a nice Zoe assistant today for our Paxton adventures. Okay, this month is a divine turning point. I'm going to dive right in because it's jam-packed tonight. You're going to have questions, and I want to pull a card for every sign. So we're going to go Pisces to Aries, as we always do. Remember, Pisces starts the zodiac. So I'm sorry, Aries starts, we're going Aries to Pisces. So Aries starts the zodiac, Pisces ends it. So there's, you know, Aries is the top and Pisces is the bottom. I would love to show you the snake, but I think it would freak you guys out. I'm absolutely in love with Zoe's new snake, Clover. Love. Just want to snuggle it. It's my first grandchild, but I don't want to freak people out because some people see snakes and they get the hives. So it's legit. So if you're not a snake person, it's totally fine. She's a corn snake. It's a corn snake. He, they. I don't know what it is. That's why we chose Clover. She chose Clover because it's you don't know what it is when it's a baby snake, and he, she, they are newborn, and super sweet. Okay, divine turning point. What sign is the moon in when it's full this month? Pop quiz. I'm gonna get some Jeopardy music. Thank you so much, Mr. Cat. Elizabeth Moore. It is in Libra. What sign is the new moon in? I'll give you hints. It's like my second favorite position for the new moon to be in a month, and we're going to party like it's 1999. Do you guys know what the new moon is this month? Yeah, it's in Taurus. So we have a big full moon in Libra next weekend. Very exciting. And then we have a new moon coming up in the money sign. So that's when we're going to be setting intentions for wealth and abundance. Taurus has had kind of a rough go. How many Taurus in the feed? Some of you signs have had a tough go. Libra's been in it. Libra, Leo, Virgo, Taurus, right? Taurus has had a tough go. So things are, the wheel is kind of turning for you, Taurus, and now it's time for you to dream into being what you want to create. So if you've been like, where's my party? Where's my good time? Like, why has it sucked for me? Because usually Taurus is having all the fun, right? You guys have good taste, expensive, right? You take a Taurus out to dinner, they should buy, or you should be careful, you know, because they know exactly what cocktails to order. And then, oh, there's the appetizer and you've got to do this. And, you know, they just know how to live life. But it's been a minute since you've had a good time. So anyway, good times are ahead for some of you. Reconciliation is in line for some of you. For people like me, Leo, it's there's that eclipse season, have we really talked about those two eclipses? Are you okay? I'll tell you what's not okay is the stock market. And I'm not here to talk about politics, but I do watch the stock market. And so that's fun, right? So I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of, even the macro and the micro are a reflection of the energy in the field, right? So it's like, it feels like, ooh. So my mantra is always like, trust the process. And I think we have to do that here. But I just want to say there's instability within and there's instability outside of us too. And that's, there's a lot of astrological energy around it, right? So you can say, well, that's because of this and that's because of that. But really, I always look to the stars. That's what our ancestors have been doing for thousands of years. We're not going to be out of this weird free fall thing until the second set of eclipses in the fall. So, and we're going to be feeling the effects of those two eclipses last month until September. So if you're worn out, what I would say, there's a couple of things, right? And I've talked to you guys about adrenal fatigue. There's a collective exhaustion. I'm feeling it, right? I can feel it in my central nervous system. So I'm really trying. I don't have like big pockets in my day of time, but like the last 3 days before today, I ate walking around because I couldn't take time to eat lunch. I know it sounds crazy, but with the relaunch of Sage Goddess, I'm doing more than I used to do for now until I can figure out how to delegate and create. So I literally was like, I got a hamburger for lunch like 2 days ago, and I literally cut it in half, and I was walking around from one person to the other with my burger in my hand eating, and I'm like, this is not okay. So today I actually took my food. I only had 6 minutes, but I took my food and I sat down. So, whatever pockets you can create in your day, if you have young children, your life is probably not unlike mine, right? If you have aging parents, your life is probably not unlike mine. If you have a lot of time on your hands, what I will tell you is, it's going to get busier this year. Like it's like an incline. So like if you're lucky enough to have hours in your day where you have time to just be, take that time right now to reflect, because most of us, if you look at the astrological omens, there's going to be an increase in activity, and it could be personal, professional, romantic, whatever, but there's a lot of change coming. And so if you have time, take it. Like last spring, I had some time. I remember, I was thinking about this the other night. I remember having a whole day off last spring with nothing. Like now my days off are like not off, but like I really had nothing. And I remember just sitting outside, like on the grass. And I remember going in the garden and picking berries. And I, made a puree with it, and just things I'd wanted to do, right? I made a simple syrup out of honeysuckle flowers, and it was such a beautiful day. And I remember it because it stood out. Like I had nothing to do and nowhere to be and no one waiting for anything. And it was like, those moments in life are really sweet. And you will have them again. I will have them again. But when you're in a season like right now, where most of us are like amped and there's not that time to rest and reflect, make sure that the things that you should do, self-care, right? Like a good salt bath, which I did today, even though I didn't have time. That was the one really nourishing thing I did for myself. You should have something in your day where you say, I did that for me, right? I took that 10 minutes, or I took that 15 minutes, and I really, even just closing your eyes and listening to some good music and, letting everything be for a minute. And even if it's just 15 minutes before bed, like that, it's in the notes for you. But literally I wrote reset, renew, restore, right? And this is a cosmic reset. So here's the big news for April. This full moon in Libra coming up. Libra is about choices and balance. So you have a choice right now. And I will tell you, this isn't just Athena, right? I have a lot of astrologers in my world. We have a lot of conversations. This is the month where you decide, are you in or are you out, right? Are you going to jump in with both feet, or are you going to back out? And there are places in my life where I'm making those decisions right now. Like with SG, I decided to jump in, and I am glad I did it, right? But there's certain parts of my life where like I can be in or out. And I kind of have to decide. And this Libra, Libra doesn't want to force you to make a decision because I'm Libra rising. We don't like imbalance and we don't like people to be unhappy. So we're always like, whatever you want, just want you to be happy, right? But Libra full moon this month is actually like, but you do have to choose. There's something about this duality that we're all experiencing. And again, yours could be personal, professional. For some people, it's legal. For some people, it's just emotional, right? But it's something. There's some aspect of it that isn't sustainable for you with the dialectic. You can't have the both and. Could you feel where that might be in your life? Where you're being asked, in my coaching, I used to call these choice points. And my clients didn't like them. I used to go, yeah, but you have to decide. And they'd be like, well. And what I used to remind people is no decision is a decision, right? Decisions will be made for you if you don't make them yourself. And that is very anti-Libra, but it's also very pro-reality. So take that for what it's worth as sort of like the big picture overview. The eclipses were strong. Even the partial solar eclipse was big, right? So some people, and I want to make sure we have this conversation in Wax and Wane. You've heard people say, right? Like, oh, it's just a partial eclipse. Well, that partial solar eclipse was on a super new moon, which means it's closer to the Earth. It was one of the bigger new moons of the year. So no, it's not partial effects, right? Just because the eclipse itself is partial doesn't mean that the energy and the effects are partial. So if you're like, well, I felt that one like it was a whole big real eclipse, and it's like, of course you did. It was a whole big real eclipse, right? So I love it. Yeah, and if your North Node's in Libra, anybody North Node Libra, that's an interesting activation right now too. Because remember, the full moon activates every placement of the sign. Let me say that again. The full moon activates every placement of the sign. So for me, my rising sign is being activated, which is like how I show up to the party, right? My people pleasing, my wanting for everybody to be happy, like at some point is being activated, right? If your sun is in Libra, that's the core essence of who you are. So who you are is harmony, balance, chemistry, creativity. Some part of that is being highlighted, right? If your moon is in Libra, right, then that's all your soft belly, the side of you that people have to really know you to see. And so if you have any big placements in Libra, all of that's going to be activated. Remember that the whole weekend, next weekend is the full moon, because we always have the plus minus 24 hours. So literally Friday night to Sunday night is the party. Libra full moons are very fun though. And that's why I'm excited that our first full moon as a community is not an eclipse, because I didn't plan this, right? Can you imagine if our first full moon together in person was on an eclipse? I probably would have postponed it. So no, we have a big full new moon or full moon. And I want to tell you, at that full moon, every planet is stationed direct. Mercury direct. And then on that day, Venus is stationing direct. And so is every other planet until Pluto turns retrograde in early May. So if you've been feeling like prevented from making progress, or you've been blocked in some way, there's going to be a real slingshot that weekend. And then it's like, whoa, you're going to come into work on the 14th. And it could be that things are really different. It really could, because we've been prevented from communicating clearly with Mercury retrograde, and we've been prevented from creating beauty in a good, clear way, right? Your pathway to creating beauty's been stuck or interrupted. I actually dislike Venus retrograde more than I dislike Mercury retrograde. The reason people don't talk about Venus retrograde is they don't know what it means. Mercury retrograde, there's memes, Freddie Mercury with a microwave and stuff. Like, it's funny. But because it's all over TikTok and because it's all over Instagram, so people feel like they can talk about Mercury retrograde intellectually. They're not insecure. But then they're like, I don't really know what a Venus retrograde is. Well, the way that Mercury fucks with communication is the way Venus fucks with your beauty. They say Venus retrograde steals your beauty. It's not good to change your hair, change your clothes, change your makeup, anything during Venus retrograde. It brings old relationships back. Every Venus retrograde, I hold my breath, because there's one or two people in my past that should not be coming back here today to talk to me about anything. And I'm always like, Venus retrograde, if you bring, Joe Bob 1 and Joe Bob 2 back, I quit. I guess if those people were ever going to come back, they feel so repelled by my energy that they just wouldn't. So anyway, so far those Joe Bobs have not reappeared, and I have until April 12th to really hope that they don't. It also can bring people back making weird, awkward apologies. And it's like, it's okay. You know what I mean? You didn't apologize before this, and now you're here with like the big apology. No, my Leo is like, So anyway, if you're experiencing any of that, like, old exes sliding into the DMs with like weird pickup lines and stuff, this is your full body permission slip to not participate in that. Now, all of you are beautiful, but there's that moment where you're like, have you ever had that? No matter what you do to your hair, it doesn't look good. No matter how much makeup you put on, it's not great. And then you just go, screw it. During Venus retrograde, if you leave the house and you have makeup on both eyes and a bra on, you get extra points. That's just like, wow, you did it. So it will all get easier April 12th. 4/12. Did I mention 4/12? Okay. So if you're feeling the after effects of all of last month, you're not alone. We're all feeling it. And now is the integration, right? We call it in shamanism the integration. Yeah, Easter's on 4/20. Happy Easter, Jesus. I'm gonna roll one just for you. We live in a green state, so it's really funny over here for us. Like, light it up, Jesus. So happy. Okay. Now I actually want to talk about a couple of really serious things. Your birthday's on 4/20. Alicia, of course it is. Woohoo! Yep. Mars is in Cancer. On 4/18, April 18th, Mars moves to Leo. Do you understand what that means? What does Mars govern in astrology? Right? So Mars is your masculine, right? And Mars is your like, I'm tough. Let's take it outside. You want to fight kind of thing. But it's also like how you like armor up for battle. It's how you take direct action, right? So Mars governs all of those things. So Mars in Cancer, let's talk about what Cancer does not enjoy is Mars in its sign. Have you ever met a Cancer who really wanted to fight? What do Cancers do when you pick a fight with them? I know this because my younger sister is a Cancer, and picking fights with her was a really pleasurable pastime for me. They cry, me, right? They go, me. So anyway, it's like, the universe is picking fights right now, and it's making you cry. And because the universe is just being a bully, and now you're sad and your feelings are hurt. And then the lovely thing about Cancers is they never forgive you, ever. They may pretend like they did, but you do one more wrong thing, Cancer, and this is true, they legit are going to pull up this thing you just did. So it's all good until you do it again. And then they're going to be like, actually, looking back at my notes, on April 2nd, 2025, you were on this bullshit as well. And I just want to point out, I hated it then, I hate it now, and I also hate you for it. I have not a light Diet Coke today, so. And I'm now not drinking caffeine after 5 p.m. because I'm menopausal, so I gotta get my last Cokes in before. Well, I can have 7-Up.
Okay, noted.
Yeah, Lee is laughing. Well, no, this is my last hurrah with class because I gotta stay awake. But after this, it's a downhill roll because of the not sleeps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, you can't after 1 p.m. What do? Like, how do you survive? How do you survive? If I stopped at 1, I probably wouldn't be here with you right now. I'd probably be in bed. Oh, your body chemistry? Yeah. I've also tried the Dr. Pepper cherry, the blackberry. Me gusta. They need a caffeine-free version. Okay. Mars and Cancer. These are my words for you from your notes. Okay. Unstable emotional energy. Plus Mars is out of bounds right now. Sort of like void of course, and the moon will be too, on the 5th. So the only day this whole month that I'm going to flag for you as a potential problem is 2 days from now, Saturday. I don't know what it is. And it just could be like somebody kind of just like pushing your boundaries, pushing your limits, testing your boundaries, just being too much for you in some way that doesn't feel right. And you'll know because your Mars is going to be activated. So you're going to be defensive, protective, and it's Mars in Cancer. So Mars in Cancer protects home and family. Like, don't talk to my people that way. Don't treat my people that way. You don't come into my house like that. You know what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. So I just want to, it's not every April 5th. It's this particular month, and the out of bounds energy of the moon and Mars as it's in Cancer. And I just want to highlight it for you. It could be a great day. Yeah. I mean, some of us have a lot to look forward to. There's a little reunioning in the evening, late at night, actually. I think we'll be back here by like 9 p.m. But Circe's coming into town, which is really fun. And I think Vanya's going to be here for our event, and Lauren is going to come, and we're going to hang out. So in our world, we're gonna make lemonade out of lemons. But I'm saying the day could be weird. Just watch out. It's going to be fun. Okay, so here's the question you need to ask yourself around this particular energy this weekend. I'm just saying, ask the question, do a little journaling, because with astrology, right, it's not necessarily predictive, right? It's indicative is what I say. So it's like, this is where the energy is moving. Doesn't mean you're going to feel the energy this way. It just means this is one set of possibilities. There's a lot of things that impact this, right? Obviously, where Mars sits in your chart, what sign your Mars is in, because if you have a water Mars anyway, this is a comfort zone for you. So if you're like, my Mars is in Pisces, I've got this, and you're used to these kinds of, energies, but my Mars is in Aries. So I'm a fire Mars. What a surprise. It takes a lot to get me angry, but once I'm angry, like everybody down the street is going to hear about it. For the whole 5 minutes, I'm mad, right? Because Aries gets mad for 5 minutes, and then we're like, I wasn't mad. And people were like, no, you were really pissed. And it's like, really? So if you have Mars in a fire placement, Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries, then you're going to feel this energy just a little bit more, this transit from water to fire. Okay. So where do you feel unprotected? Where do you feel unsafe in your life? And that's a real question, because you could say, well, I don't feel physically unsafe, but I feel emotionally unsafe. Or I feel, I feel like the foundation under my feet is shifting. Or I feel like I don't know if I'm safe to feel my feelings. Or I don't know if I'm, safe to be who I am. Or I don't feel accepted for who I am. And anything around like who you are, who you love, where you live, those things. And so anything that anybody does, if you're feeling like that, is going to feel like they're activating or triggering you. Just keep in mind that may not be the person's intention, right? They could be like, whoa, I wasn't. And it's like, it's because you're all in it. So I just want to bring your awareness to that, right? Okay. Any questions about that so far? So we had Mercury direct on the 7th, Venus direct on the 12th. Time to make progress. Here's the other thing, you can't procrastinate anymore. A lot of people, and I'm not judging, because in some ways I did it too, and I know better, so mine was pretty conscious. We kind of use these periods to slow down, and sometimes we use them as an excuse to procrastinate. But now you can't procrastinate anymore after the 12th. It's like all engines go. So that's why I'm saying take this week to rest, but no matter what that looks like for you, if it's 5 minutes, 5 hours, take an extra nap, take a road trip, take a long bath, get a massage or whatever, and really like make sure you know what you want. Because after the 12th, it's like a slingshot, and it's going to stay that way past Beltane all the way through to summer solstice is the next time I see kind of an evening out of the field based on the astrology. Yeah. So if your Mars is in an earth sign, you're not going to enjoy either of these things. Yay, right? Because you're not really here for the water and you're not really here for the fire either. But a lot of people are going to look to you to be the even-keeled, level-headed one. And that's why it's so important to know the sign of your planets in your chart. Because when I tell you Mars is in a water sign, any other water sign is still going to have an easier time than me because I'm fire, right? And I'm sure I've taught you this before, but it bears repeating. So let me just show it to you one more time. It's a shitty drawing, but you get the picture. That was funny. It's a shitty drawing, but you get the picture. Actually, I really want to do the wheel a little different way. This way, okay? So don't look at this one. Look at this one. So we have north is earth and south is fire, right? Those are the balancing elements. So this would be a great journaling question for you to deal with too for yourself. You know, if you want to journal and you're like, I don't know what to write about. So water and air are opposite each other on the wheel, right? East and west. Earth and fire are opposite each other, north and south. So I'm all fire in my chart, right? I have like 0.0% earth except my north node's in Capricorn. So I play a Capricorn on TV. So when I need balance, I go to earth. Every significant love in my life, with the exception of one, has been with an earth dominant chart. And even the one that wasn't was water sun, but the rest of it was earth. So I go to earth to stabilize myself. So you might say, well, why would someone like her be with a Virgo or be with a Capricorn or whatever? It's because that's where I go to rest. If you're a lot of air, you probably find rest in the water signs and vice versa. And my Venus is in Virgo, that's true. I always say I look like I'm going to be a really exciting lover, but I'm probably boring, which isn't true. But my Venus is in Virgo. And I love you, Virgos, but you're not known for being like really that hot to trot in bed. Sorry. I mean, you can be, but you know. Are we having this conversation right now? I don't know how we got here. But my point to you is, and also this is how we clear. So fire signs like to clear to earth, right? I love to bury things. I'm like a dog with a bone. I love, if something's going on, I like to write down what I'm releasing and go and bury it. It just feels good. Earth folks gravitate to we fire folks. They sure do, like a moth to a flame. And I always say, you got what you asked for. You wanted fun and excitement. Sometimes that looks like multiple personalities, right? But they're bored. Over here, they're bored, and so they want the fun, right? Over here, they're overthinking things, but they really want to feel. Over here, they're feeling so much, they're going to lose their mind. They want to actually process a little bit. They want to think and talk and communicate, because otherwise it just builds up in their body as stress and sorrow and sadness and intensity, right? So I give you that because I just want you to think about, these are your natural patterns, rhythms, and inclinations. And a lot of it's being activated right now because of the placements of these outer planets, and then also the relative movement of them, right? And Venus and Mars, or Venus and Mercury, the planet of beauty, harmony, and the planet of communication, both going direct, means all those aspects of your life are now on the front burner. And so if you've been procrastinating, not going to be able to do that anymore. Okay. I'm trying to go as fast as I can. Okay. Aries sun is primal fire. My son is an Aries sun, and he's super primal fire. If he gets so mad so fast for all 5 minutes, but I mean, you don't want to be in his path during that 5 minutes. And it's true for all Aries, right? Aries also gets really frustrated, and that's where the sun is right now, right? So Aries gets really frustrated when someone tells them they're wrong and they're not. There's nothing harder for an Aries. And it's not their ego. It really is their gift, right? Is their accuracy. And so when an Aries knows they're right and somebody's like, well, I don't know, let's fact check it or whatever, like you can see them like almost visibly get activated. So that's what's happening on the planet right now. We're all kind of in our primal fire. We all need to take a breath. I saw plenty of this in my world this week, right? People get activated, and then they stop and think, and then they go, oh, right? And it's like, which is fine. But when you see these things happening on every possible stage in every possible aspect of life, it's astrology. I'm so ready for it. Now I wait for it. If nobody has a fiery reaction to things, I'm like, day's still young. Somebody's going to get pissed, right? So it's almost better when you can anticipate these things because you can go, Sun in Aries, Mars in Cancer. Bing. And not everybody knows these things. So you got to be patient with people, right? Maybe they don't know astrology, or if they do, they're not studying it right now. They're not looking at the movements and the placements, and so they're not here. This isn't like a focus in their life. So they're kind of being blown by the wind. And then those of us who do know get to stop and go, oh, yeah, that's what that is. And we get to take a breath and go, let's clear it for the collective. You always get to choose how you react. You don't get to choose what happens to you in life. You always get to choose how you react. So that is ultimately what you're responsible for, is your reaction. And what I tell people is try to have a good reaction. I've had a lot of things happen to me in the last week just because I've taken on so much. And I was telling my friend, I wish I was 35 doing this. And my friend was like, no, you don't. And I was like, no, I do. I don't have the energy. I don't think I'm as smart as I was. I don't, I need more rest than I did at 35. My friend was like, you wouldn't have been able to do it at 35. You weren't grounded. You didn't have the judgment. You had all the knowledge, but you didn't put it into practice yet. Like, there's no way. And it made me feel so much better. Like, oh, like maybe it's just, oh, maybe I am ready for this, right? So yeah, physically it would be easier, it would be cuter, and it would be less of like the arthritises, right? But energetically, like I probably would have lost my shit like 14 times already today if I didn't have like a little wisdom and a little grounding and a little like, you know what, like tomorrow's another day, right? We're doing the best we can or whatever. I didn't have that kind of sense and sensibility. So it's a big reminder for me this whole time period. Like you are where you are now because of your experiences, and those experiences have prepared you uniquely for the moments that you're in. And I can tell you to look at the world through the same lens, right? You can go like, oh my God, everything's so crazy. And like, like I said, I mean, I watch financial markets. I don't watch the news, but like, that's weird. And I'm just like, okay, well, look, we're all in this soup together. We're going to get through this together. Everything happens in cycles. What goes up must come down, right? And that's wisdom speaking through me. That is not, because my younger self would have been like, right? So it's grace. It's all things in perfect time. There's also an aspect of trusting the process. So for this month, there are fire sparks all around. You don't have to fan them. You don't have to build a fire with them. You don't have to play with them. You can see a fire over there and you can walk away and go, that's not my fire. I didn't light it, and I'm not going to fan it, and I'm not going to light another fire next to it and pretend like I didn't, right? I'm going to give myself grace, time, and walk away. So something is significantly new in your world. I don't care who you are, something has begun. And it could be big like mine, like life-changing, complete polarity point. It could be really small. Like there's somebody new living next door to you, or you just moved, or you're in a new relationship. I'll tell you what the similarity is among all of us astrologically. Oh my God, you're adopting a dog. Your life's about to change. I always said Paxton was either the best thing I ever did or the biggest mistake. And for the first 2 weeks, I would say it was the biggest mistake. Peeing everywhere, right? Just absolute bad behavior. He was a piranha dog, right? I thought I was going to lose a limb. He was just really, really bad. And there was no return policy because I flew him here from Atlanta. There's no one-way ticket back, right? It's like having a baby, right? And then, of course, today I'm like, he's the best thing I ever did, right? Woohoo! Most of the time. So it's the same thing with this period right now. Something new is starting. You're overwhelmed, or you're about to be overwhelmed. And then you're going to look back a year from now and go, aw. So it will get better. There's a lot of feminine magical energy this month, and a lot of it has to do with Venus moving direct. A lot of it has to do with Sun Aries. There's a lot of astrological, sort of focus points where we can. There's certain conjunctions happening that activate the divine feminine, and it's a fiery feminine. Like you're gonna get your groove back, Stella, on the 12th of April, and then you're gonna be like, walking around naked in the neighborhood. This girl is on fire. So people need to watch out. You're back, right? And I again, it could be micro level, it could be macro level, but it's like you're ready to like slough off some of the layers, not layers. You heard what I said. And you're going to feel more like yourself, and you're going to feel more of your magic back, which is pretty cool. Taurus season will be upon us soon. That's happening on 4/20/4/21. Wheel turns from Aries to Taurus. This is always a sensual time when we appreciate nature coming into bloom, right? The season of summer ahead in the Northern Hemisphere. So here's the upshot before the horoscopes. The task for us now, you, me, to bring beauty into the world, to see that so much is changing, and it's going to be up and down for a while until it stabilizes. And it's not going to stabilize until the second set of eclipses, which we will then be integrating until the end of the year. So you're going to be for the rest of 2025. So when it's up, when shooters are up, you enjoy the up. And when it's down, you got to remember it will go up again, right? The moon teaches us what is full will become empty. What is empty will become full. And she proves that to us every 2 weeks, like clockwork. Any questions about any of this so far before I get to the horoscopes? Happy birthday to all of you. I would love to have you with the new moon. Would love it. When aren't you in a cycle? Sometimes there's more stable astrological activity, right? We don't have the level of eclipse activity that we just had. We don't have, the parallel activity. First of all, solar flares too. There's all kinds of solar activity that we've had in the last 24 to 48 months that we haven't seen before. And when the sun is very active, the sun has just as much of a pull on us as the moon. We just talk about the moon more, right? So we feel activated, we feel agitated, we feel triggered, all these things. And so it's sort of I always call it an amalgam effect, right? It's the composition, it's the symphony of all of these different factors. Sometimes the astrology is more boring, to be honest, than it has been. So, so sometimes. And then, of course, all of this gets anchored in your own astrology. So some people's placements are going to make what I'm telling you more real, and then some people's placements are going to sort of minimize the effect of all these things. Okay, so into the horoscopes we go. We start with Aries. Aries, it's your season. This is your season and your reason. I'm going to read you the horoscope and pull cards. And feel free to ask questions as we go. I want to say that this is the deck I'm using, and I never remember which deck this is, but some of you know which one it is. This is a really cool manifestation deck, which is what I use it for. And it's usually pretty accurate. So I'm going to pull a card for each sign from this deck. Thank you. I love you too. I will see you tomorrow. So Aries, it's your season. You are extra fiery right now and accurate right now. whether people see it or not, you got to let that go. And I know that gets you all kinds of, you know, flustered when people don't see your accuracy and your integrity and all of that. And so it is. But you're there and you know it. And so this is Aries sometimes doesn't trust their intuition. Have you noticed that? Because they almost think like they're stronger than it, or they're more aware than their intuition, which, I mean, you know, our intuition is important no matter how smart you are. And then Aries sometimes forgets that they're smart because of their intuition, which is a whole other conversation, right? So yeah, well, Circe knows which cards these are, so she'll share it with you. I mean, it's just it's a random deck, but I like it a lot. Okay, what's the opposite sign of Aries? Right, we have to always think about that. So if we're making a perfect circle with our signs, your opposite sign is literally 180 degrees across from you. Libra. What sign is the moon full in this month? Okay, so Aries, this isn't an easy full moon for you. It's highlighting everything that you haven't wanted to deal with, everything you haven't wanted to look at, everything that you feel. I mean, Aries looks at Libra astrologically. You may say, no, I don't. But astrologically, Aries looks at Libra and is like, they're wishy-washy, you know, they're uncommitted, they, you know, 1 minute they're here, the next minute they're there, they're outside doing an art project, right? Like, that's a waste of time, right, Aries? Meanwhile, Libra's like, I'm here to create beauty in the world, and I do that through my music. And Aries is like, right? So this is not your favorite full moon. Aries also thinks sometimes that partying and gathering with people and just chit-chatting and having good food and good music is a waste of time. It's like, so what are we doing here? And it's like, we don't have an agenda, right? We're not at work, so we're actually just having a good time. So it's time. This full moon is going to remind Aries that sometimes we do things just for the sake of doing them, not because there's value in it, not because somebody's rewarding it, not because it, you know, it advances you on your path or anything, but just literally for the sake of being together, of connecting, of experiencing energy together, right? So this full moon for you is a push outside of your comfort zone. And Aries doesn't like that either. And I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. You know, with astrology, that's the nice thing. Like, you could say, well, I don't like this and I don't want that. And it's like, great, well, sorry, right? This is what we're having for dinner tonight. So that's important for you to know too. Mars and Leo is easier for you if you have Mars and Aries like I do, or any Aries placements, because we're already used to the squabble, right? We already squabble up. So we're not like, when people are, you know, fighting or bickering or whatever, the rest of us are like, they'll be done soon. You know, just let it pass. Let her finish, right? Good things are ahead. But remember that fire, that Mars and Leo energy is going to fire you up, no matter what placement you have, but especially if you have Aries or Mars in Aries, or your Sun in Aries, or both. Anybody have Sun and Mars in Aries? Yeah. And I, you know, what's funny is I thought as my son got older, Lisa, because she and I both have Aries sons named Nick. It's just really crazy. I thought as he got older, I wouldn't have to say this as much. Is that weird? My son just turned 18 on March 31st. I find I have to tell him this more now. Like, sacred pause. What does that mean, right? Take a breath. Choose your reaction, right? Be in the moment. Like, I find that I have to say it more now than I used to have to say it. So it isn't like something that we grow out of this energy, especially if we have major placements. It's just, it's like we need the constant reminders. And I think the universe for, look at us with our boys getting old. We, of course, are still young and fabulous. They are getting old. We are timeless. Oh, yeah. we got this. But I'm actually really being serious. You know what I mean? Like, I think Aries call in people into their lives who are going to be good reminders of this. And then, but you know, like I'm not somebody who, I'm not a fighter and I'm not a yeller. And I'm not, I'm not, I don't like it. I grew up with my parents fighting. It's just not the environment I like. So when my kids have seen me get mad, a handful of times, they're literally like, and of course it doesn't last long, but they've seen me like lose my shit. And literally it's like the whole world is upside down, right? Because when somebody who doesn't loses their shit, you're like, oh. And then they'll laugh, right? Because it's funny, because it's like, no, but for real, like, you're not that mad, right? And then of course I laugh and it's over. I just don't do it, and I don't enjoy it. I know. And literally, like, and then afterward they're like, but are you okay? It's like, yes, I get mad. I do. I get really mad. Right. So anyway, let's pull a card for Aries. Oh, I know, right, Lisa? It's like, but you have to get mad once in a while, I think, as a human, to let people know you can get there too. Oh yes, kids. It takes a lot, but you want to go there with me? You'll get me there eventually. This is cool for Aries. The messages are deep in this deck for me, okay? Everyone you meet is another part of you that wants to be loved. That hits different this month, doesn't it? What if everybody in your life that you're calling in represents a part of you that doesn't feel seen yet? And so you're like, well, why is this person here? Because there's some part of you that's like, I want to feel that, and I don't feel it yet. So the universe goes, okay, right? Because you set an intention somewhere. I don't control you, right? You did that. So now this person is here, and you're like, why? Why are they here? I don't, and it's like, instead of asking who's that and why are they here, ask yourself, what part of me feels loved or seen by that? It's really true. I've set intentions, for example, in my life. I'm sure you have too, during like, let me let Paxton in. Give me just a second. But let me finish my thought. I have set intentions in my life during like sort of like dry spells where I wasn't feeling really sexy or really like intimate. Those have been few and far between because I'm a very sensual person. But then someone shows up who's just about the thing, and I'm like, why is that person here? And it's like, the universe goes, excuse me, do you remember last month at the new moon when you set an intention for sex? Well, guess what? We were listening. You have to behave. Do you understand, Paxton? Let's see what he does. So anyway, that's that card for you. Taurus. I'm not responsible for what he does right now. Your season is ahead. 420 turns the cycle to Taurus, as we talked about earlier, and you feel that excitement. You are good at manifesting. Taurus, it's true, right? Any setbacks that you have been experiencing are going to be reversed at this upcoming new moon in your sign. And this is your chance to really visualize, visualize and attract what you want to experience and receive. And when it's your new moon, it's like all eyes on you, right? So if you don't take advantage of your new moon in the year, you're really missing an opportunity. You should have a journal where at least you plot out your new moon. Mine's in Sag, right? So those are your, again, choice points, right? What do I want? And because the sign of the moon is yours, it's almost like it's a gift to you. So, and the full moon for me, even less so, because The full moon is like illuminating everything for almost everybody, and it impacts the opposite sign and all these things. But the new moon is really like a laser beam, and you get to choose to direct it. That's why to this day, all these decades later, it's still my favorite phase. I love a full moon for what it is, but it makes people act like, lunatics. But the new moon is so laser like, and it's a chance to activate your intuition. You're looking for home, Taurus, this month, a place to plant deeper roots so you don't feel like you're floating, but you're going to find your feet. And if you feel like that, use the energy of this new moon to, again, be like a laser beam to help you focus. Where do you want to be? What do you want to be experiencing? So what's your card for Taurus? So true for Taurus, because you are. You're magic. Sometimes you don't believe this to be true, though. Sometimes you're like, is the universe really supporting me? Does it really have my back? And it's like, don't be jaded, That's the one kind of shadow side of Taurus, I think, because you've seen it all and felt it all, and there's a little bit of Taurus that's like above it all, you know what I mean? You can have this kind of like jaded, cynical energy, and right now it's not serving you, because that little bit of faith, that little bit of like willing to be surprised thing will serve you. Gemini. Okay, things have been changing for Gemini for a long time, and they're still changing. Gemini's got hit hard by these eclipses in some pretty powerful ways. The Libra full moon is your sibling air sign. So Gemini and Aquarius, even though this full moon is in Libra, it's not in your sign, you're still going to feel it really intensely because it's activating all air signs. Remember I said that? Like the full moon has this broader impact. And so you can say, well, I'm not a Libra, but if you're an Aquarius or a Gemini, next weekend is going to be really revelatory for you. It's going to reveal a lot to you. And it's hard for Gemini because you are an external processor. Do you remember my teaching on this? One of the most profound things I used to teach as a coach, the whole world splits in two. Are you an internal processor or an external processor? This is critical to know about yourself. I'm an internal processor. I don't want to talk about things when I'm going through it. I don't. I actually shut down. I don't do nothing. I go deeply inward. So I'm processing, I'm meditating, I'm journeying. But my first inclination when like just shit hits the fan is reaching out to my teachers, my shaman, you know what I mean? Like working with plants. Like if I start to talk about something, most people are like, whoa, she's talking. Even in intimate relationships, I'm an internal processor. If you're an external processor, when things are happening, you have to talk. And you don't care who it is sometimes. You're like, thank you so much for delivering my mail. It's been a tough one today. And your beautiful postal carrier is like, okay, well, thanks so much. Or your Uber driver is like, mm-hmm. And you're like, no, really. So anyway, it started yesterday. And people like me are like, are you really like, but these are external processors. And I've almost always had partners who are external processors, and we drive each other crazy, right? Like I don't want to talk about it. They do want to talk about it. And it's like, I'll talk about it when I'm ready. And they're like, ready now. So because you are external processors, usually Gemini, it's not always the case. This is going to be an intense full moon for you, and it's going to get you rethinking, reorganizing, redesigning, kind of re-architecting something you thought you had finished and completed is up for consideration now. So you can get back into your comfort zone of interaction and engagement after this full moon, but you do need to deepen your spiritual practice. That came through loud and clear in my, I meditate a little bit when I'm doing these horoscopes. I feel into it. Sometimes I'll pull cards, but usually I'm just listening. And I kept hearing, you've been out there a lot and not a lot in here. So whatever that looks like for you, a sound bath or, some breath work or drumming or, I don't know, praying. People's spiritual work looks different, right? So whatever it is for you, but it's almost like you've sidelined it because you're busy or because it's whatever, I'm telling you, this whole period ahead is about not using the excuses anymore. You're not too busy, right? It's actually important to put your spiritual practice as a priority. Try not to be too much in your head about all the changes you're going through, and remember that you do have spirit guidance. Whether you choose to listen to it is up to you. But like not listening to it, I don't know how much of a choice that is. Because then we don't make the right choices, and then we have regrets, and it's sort of a vicious circle. I don't know why they used a picture of an astronaut for this. This is the one place I think this deck goes a little wonks. Because if my card that I was writing said everything is unfolding as it should be, I wouldn't put an astronaut on there. I don't know what I would put on there. But anyway, so focus on the message, not on the art sometimes, because it's a little weird. It's not my deck. It's weird. And I'm working on a new Oracle deck because I can't find what I want, so I got to make it. It's like Bruce's 9th project for Bruce. But it's like I just want it to not be weird. So that was your card. Cancer, your future feels uncertain. There's something, and it's been this way for you for Cancer for a minute. Remember I told you this last month. And for a lot of you, it's professional. Yeah, I know. I haven't done a new deck in a minute, so it won't be ready for like a while. But do you ever feel that? Like the book I want to read hasn't been written. The meal I want to eat hasn't been cooked. The deck I want to use hasn't been created. So I do see travel for Cancers. It could be a short trip. And this is important, by the way, because you're going to see or learn or experience something on this little, so it could be like, let's go away for the weekend to, someplace close by. It doesn't have to be a trip. For some people, it does look like airplanes. It could be short trips. But I do see like you need a change of scene because something in your, like, here's what's coming through. You need to make a change. You don't like your options. And because you're not getting out of your zone enough, because you're retreating, because you're not getting out of your zone enough, you don't have the perspective that you need to make the right decision, or you're not, like, all of your options aren't visible. So you think you're choosing between A and B, but there's actually A, B, and C. But to get to C, am I making sense? I'm trying to translate like what I sense intuitively to to practical language. If you get out of your comfort zone, then you're going to see there's more options. But right now you're like, I only have 2 options. And it's like, no, you don't. But that's what you see when you look down at your little tiny circle point of reference, right? So you've got to shake it up to break it up. Okay. You have big questions that need big answers, but you're not going to find those big answers in your comfort zone. So what do? Right? You have to be a little adventurous. Mars is leaving your sign now. We talked about that earlier. So here's why it's a good month for Cancers. Part of the reason why it's just been so damn hard for you is because having Mars in your sign totally sucks. It sucks for everybody. Like, it's about to come to Leo, and I'm not necessarily thrilled about it, but I'm ready for it because my Mars is in fire already. So if people are shitty and they want to fight with each other, I don't care. As a parent, the way I handle it when my kids are fighting, I always say, like, survival of the fittest. I will not break up a fight between my kids. There's no point. I've tried, and you can't, right? So it's like, it's best just like, okay, whoever wins, let me know. Good luck, everybody. Maybe that's not great parenting, but that's what I do. I'm not going to referee that stuff. That's not why I came onto the planet, right? Good luck. So that's what I would say to you too, is nobody likes having Mars in their sign. And for Cancer in particular, it's uncomfortable. You can get out. You can. Do you see that you can get out? I may have to let him know. Okay. Mars has been in Cancer, by the way, since January. So you have felt like you're like in the fire zone, literally, for months now. And so you're really ready for this transition. Let me let him out. I'm sorry. Zoe was supposed to help me with him, and she's not. Okay, now you can go. Bye. So you're going to feel so much better once you don't have the interference of Mars. And I said, frantic energy will calm around you soon, and that's good because you have not enjoyed the tension. Okay, so let's see what the card is for Cancer for this month, for the whole month of April. Look at this card for you. Holy shit. I'm telling you, the message is deep. The art is weird. Do you feel like that eclipse did that for you, Cancer? Did it hide your light? But not forever. So that feels good because I think, remember that Cancer is ruled by the moon. And so eclipses are really hard on you. It's almost like they're hard on your body. They're hard on your soul. And I always feel bad for Cancers who don't know that they're in an eclipse. It's almost like, when I tell them, they're like, oh, really? That's why it's been so fucked up? And it's like, yeah, dude, like you just came through 2 crazy eclipses. They're not even in your sign, right? But it's like, whoa, you feel it more than everybody else because your ruling planet is the moon. And so when it hides your light, it's like you can't even function. So that's good to know, right? Yeah. You got to know what planet rules your sign, right? Like I'm ruled by the sun. So if it's cloudy outside, literally people will tell you, I'm not as productive. I'm not as happy. I can't live in a climate where it's cloudy all the time. I will get physically and emotionally depressed. So like my seasonal affective disorder is legit. So you have to know what planet rules your sign. It's really important because you're going to be unduly influenced by that planet, whether you like it or not, right? Okay, Leo. Sometimes I write the horoscope for the sign without thinking about the sign because if I look at it through the lens of like I'm a Leo, then I go, oh, is this accurate for me? And sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it is. Like later in the month, I'll see that it actually was accurate. Leos have been focused on money, relationships, and trust. Who can I trust with my heart? Who can I trust with my money? And let me tell you right now, Leo's the last thing Leo wants to focus on really truly is money. Leos are not here for that. Like Leos are here for, play and creativity and leadership and people and, like magic and all of those things. It really bums us out when the whole focus is on something so transactional. It's like it takes every single ounce of magic out of us, and it takes our batteries out of our toys. Okay, it's really true. I always think I should be more concerned about money or care about it more, and I just can't get there. The people I know who have a lot of money are really unhappy and aren't having a good time. And the people I know who are the happiest and having a great time don't have a lot of money. So I've always just looked at money as like inversely related to satisfaction. But there is an end to this. Like soon you're not going to have to be so focused on like the means. You can focus more on the process, and that's going to really light Leos up. The Mars in Leo thing is not going to be a big deal for Leos because we're used to being in our masculine, and we're used to some level of, aggressiveness because we can be a little aggressive. But we're actually going to get a boost from it. I think most Leos with Mars in Leo are going to feel like a little bit of a fire under the booty, which we enjoy that. Because it almost feels like adrenaline, or it feels like gasoline, right, for the tank. So you don't mind conflict, Leo, but you also have been setting intentions for a new way to approach old challenges. So you can now streamline and get back to the things that really matter to you. So I think that's a great forecast for those of us who've been feeling all of those energies, right? Yeah. Okay, so card for Leo for April. Same card. Do you feel like your light's hidden? I think a lot of us feel like that right now because a lot of us are like, what is actually happening? So the eclipse may have dimmed your light, but it can't hide it. And with Leos, again, we're ruled by the sun. Light is who we are. People say about Leos, whether it's true or not, that when we walk into a room, we light it up because we're just like, we walk with sun energy, solar energy, right? Cancers, when they walk into a room, everybody sort of magnetizes to them and, you know, feels loved and nurtured and cared for, even if a Cancer doesn't do anything, right? Because they bring the moon into a space. It's beautiful, isn't it? So those are our superpowers. Virgo, you're landing after the eclipse. Virgos, so I'm, you know, again, when I write these, it's channeled, but I'm also looking at the astrology. So it's always a union of the left brain and the right brain. Okay. It's been hard for you, Virgo, right? Because you know how your pendulum swings? Like you're so focused on nuts and bolts and transactions and details, and that's your gift because, you know, no stone left unturned. Like you're all the way there right now. You're like so dialed in. And at some point, that's even hard for Virgos. Even though it's like your thing, you know what I mean? At some point, you get tired of it too. Almost all of my, and I'll go so far as to say, actually, I think I can consciously say every major relationship, including my relationship with my son, with men in my life, my whole life, is either Virgo sun or Virgo moon. It's true. Every major relationship. So I have a PhD in Virgo moon as a lover, as a life partner. And they are constantly, even if they don't say it, because they know it's weird how much they overthink. They know it's weird. So they don't want to say it to you because then like now you know it's weird, right? So then they don't say it, but you can see them doing it. You know what I mean? It's like you're being weird though, right? Like I can see it. And they're like, yeah, I'm being weird. Like, but so can you stop that? Because that's just really weird. Like, and they'll be like, I can talk about it or I can do it, but I can't not do it. So anyway, you're being extra weird right now. This is true for all Virgos. You are so in your weird that even you feel like it's weird and you want to stop it. So that eclipse was all about showing you just how weird you could get. And now it's like, so we're not on the weird bus now. Okay, we're going to get off the weird bus. You know this is true. It's also true for every single Virgo sun and moon in my entire life. And there are dozens of you, okay? Or personal life. And having to live with one and be partnered to one and just like enough, right? So now you're going to get off the weird bus and you're going to go back on the normal Virgo bus, which is noticing people's pimples, paying your bills on time, showing up to work at exactly 8:00 in the morning every single day. Like these are things that you're really good at. But when you take that to the microscopic level, it's weird. So for your own happiness, for your own satisfaction, for your own relationships with your non-Virgo sun, moon, rising, you know, people, please help us, right? It's just been so much the last couple of months and you know it's true. So you're landing, your snow globe got kind of turned upside down for a minute and just like shaken, and that is uncomfortable for you. So when that happens to you, what you do is you default to, I'm going to analyze the super shit out of this and get as weird as I can about it. So now that your snow globe is like right side up and like the fake snow is settling, now you can let go a little bit and pull back the microscope and not be analyzing every single thing every single person is doing with the lens of what's the worst possible translation of it. I mean, it's almost like you took it to the worst place. You have a choice now, Virgo, to choose peace, to choose calm, to choose, you know, to get out of that analysis paralysis, right? Where you're overthinking everything to death. Also, you've been focusing too much on things and not enough on people. It's almost like you lost your way, and it's okay. Again, it happens to all of us, and the eclipse will do it. But if you don't write this, you could lose some relationships because some people can't handle it. They can handle it for like a week, a month. You're now going on like a couple of months like this, and you have to be able to acknowledge there's a problem to be able to change a problem, right? So choose peace. I know it sounds weird to you Virgos, not to me, but like choose love. Choose the person over the process. Choose the greater good over your good, right? It's time to do that now, and you're still going to be successful. Because Leo is adjacent to Virgo, you're going to feel that Mars and Leo transition, but it's not going to affect you personally. Mars will get to your sign, so don't you worry, right? And when Mars is in Virgo, it fights in the details, right? It gets right down to the weeds, and it's not comfortable, but it'll be better for you. This Taurus, by the way, this Taurus energy that's coming as we have Sun Taurus and then Moon Taurus at the end of the month, that's another Earth sign, right? So it's not your sign, but you're going to feel the stability of it, and it's going to bring you back to ground zero where you can be more productive. So what's the card for? See me? Can't just come in and lay down, right? Has to put on a whole dramatic show. It's the card for Virgo. This is so your card. When it gets dark, again, why the astronaut? When it gets dark, remember that the sun always rises. It's okay. Like big compassion for Virgos right now, because some of you haven't known your way out of this, and it's not good, but it's like, how do I undo this, right? Paxton was born on March 1st. He's a Pisces. Smudge is a Leo. What a surprise. Turns out Smudge is only 5% cat, and he's 95% lion. His DNA results just came back. Okay. Libra. Are you happy with the choices you've made? Some of you are not, and you're having regret. Yeah. Yeah, Bodhi's a Bodhi, my dog I don't have anymore, was a Pisces too. So my Pisces dogs. This full moon in Libra is going to bring up all the choices you've made and like put them out there for you to look at and say, this one was good, this one wasn't. And there's going to be, it's going to be a little tricky for you because Libra doesn't like to be uncomfortable. And so like, personally or at anywhere, right? We're here to make, also we like to be comfortable clothes, comfortable shoes, comfortable home, right? People come to my house. They're always like, should I take my shoes off? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. There will be 20 18-year-olds running through these hallways in 3 hours probably. So no shoes off. You don't have to, you know what I mean? Like comfort, that's what we're all about. But this whole next like 4 to 6 weeks is about kind of showing you a little bit of some places where you could have done better, just so that you can adjust, right? Because the reality is, and I always tell you this, and it's a buzzkill, but those of you with Sun, Moon, Rising in Libra, and I would also say Venus in Libra, you're going to really feel this too, because Venus is always our planet that brings us like back to where we belong, right? Kind of, it's a homing frequency. So, so once you reconcile this, like, I quit that job and I probably shouldn't have, or I left that relationship behind and I probably shouldn't have, or I moved and now I'm not happy with wherever I moved, right? Whatever it is, it's coming up for healing. It's your time to see where your light is still shining. Because, it's easy to look at your decisions and go, well, I made that decision with my shadow or whatever, right? Since the moon is on your astrological side next weekend, you get to enjoy the fun. But there's a big medicine piece for Libras right now. And I really want to asterisk it, double click on it. The medicine of the astrology right now is you actually can't make everybody happy right now, no matter what you do. So when you can't make everybody happy, no matter what you do, what's the best thing to do? Focus on you, right? I mean, if your full-time job, which is every Libra's full-time job, is making sure everybody else is okay and you can't, the best thing to actually do at times like that is to take care of yourself so that you can at least have clarity, right? So the card for Libra. Are you guys enjoying it tonight? It's fun, right? There's so much going on, and I'm trying to take what is kind of like big, complex astrology and ground it in your sign and give you a lot of practical examples of it, but yay. I was really looking forward to tonight because it's juicy. And there's a lot of transformation. Like I said, on the macro level, the hummingbird, and on the micro level, so beautiful. So what's your card? This is a cool card for you. Is it your favorite class? Is it really? That's awesome. I love that so much. I outed myself already and told you it's one of my favorites. There are many doors that lead to the place you truly belong. Yeah. I was thinking about this last night, and it's probably my Libra, but my happiness, and this is how it should be, but I've judged myself in the past for it. My happiness doesn't live with one person outside of me, where I go, oh, I can only be happy if that person is in my life. Like, all the people in my life are really cool pieces of a puzzle, and they bring like different things to my life, and I can see like, oh, this person brings this and this person brings this, and it, for me, it's the gathering of those energies that really makes my life whole, you know. But I there's not one person where I'm like, oh, that person is really my, you know, my center of gravity. So, but again, I think that's how it's supposed to be, you know, because if you really like anchor your entire happiness on one person, first of all, that's way too much pressure for one person to hold. Like, does anybody really want to be your everything? Like, even when I had a marriage, right? Like, you know, I think you have to have, for me, I have to have friends. I have to have, you know, coworkers. Like, I love the diversity of people in my life, right? So that's important for you to remember, Libra. If you're anchoring something in a person, it's time to maybe think about your puzzle, right? And making sure that you are enjoying the different roles that people play in your life, because it's really cool when you look at it. Scorpios are healing. All of them, all of you are healing. Some of you it's physical, some of you it's mental health, some of you it's emotional health and well-being. And Scorpios are focusing on it right now, which you normally don't. Scorpio, you know, Virgos are the, you know, Virgos focus on their health a lot. There's a lot of signs where health is a sort of a focus. Scorpio's always like, you know, they're just going to write it out, right? Because Scorpios, for better or worse, really believe in like their own inherent ability to heal. Like, they don't spend time on it. They're not hypochondriacs, you know what I mean? Like, but nobody transforms better than a Scorpio, because your entire sign is about transformation, right? So you are actually most poised of any sign in the zodiac to be able to heal from a disease or illness, to be able to transform your mental state, to be able, I mean, nobody can do it like Scorpio. And you can do it overnight. You can do it at the drop of a hat. The rest of us just watch it going like, whoa, right? Because Scorpios are not afraid to go all the way in and dig something up, and, you know, it was buried and now it's not buried, right? And so, yeah, so you're really good at it, but you don't want to focus on it. Zoe's a Scorpio moon. She will have a headache for half a day and just be like, you know, and I'll say, did you take a Tylenol? Did you do your pressure points? Did you? And she's just like, no. And it's like, okay, well, enjoy your headache. Again, I'm that parent where I'm like, I'm going to give you 3 different solutions. And if you say no to everything, then I'm just going to be like, cheers, love it. I love headaches for you. I mean, if you wanted to not have it, I've given you several options of ways that you could avoid it, right? Okay. So you're evolving creatively, physically, mentally, emotionally, and you're focused on fixing something, which you're normally not. You're not a fixer. Scorpios will ignore shit, right? Like, oh yeah, that huge lump on my arm. I don't know what that is, right? Like, bye-bye. We'll think about it another day. Now, here's what's interesting. There's an astrological conjunction that suggests, okay, for Scorpios. Do I have my Scorpios? Look back to December and January. Something happened. I'm going to say it's like mid-December to mid-January. And that there's a little cycle that's happened. Yeah, it's like a quarter of a year. And you're like fixing, repairing. It could be like a relationship. It could be something at work. It could be your health, right? Like you got sick and now you're finally healing, or I don't know what it is. But I do want you to look at any conflict you had, inner or outer conflict, December to January. And if you have like a partner who's a Scorpio, I want you to think about that. Did you have a fight or an argument? There's just a little like, it's a karmic kind of like fixing happening here. So something for you to consider if that's relevant for you. You're ready for rebirth. No one does transformation like you. Stay light and easy right now. And that little bit of happiness that you're feeling, which Scorpios don't care, right? Like Scorpios are not about being happy all the time because they're kind of brooding, sorry, but you are. Like you're not like when a Scorpio walks into a room, that's not how you know it. It's like Hades walking into a room, right? When a Scorpio walks into a room, the reason why everybody stops and notices is because they are sexy, mysterious, aloof, usually beautiful, handsome, like magnetic, but they're usually not saying anything. So that's not because they're talky, and it's not because they're smiling, right? It's because there's something irresistible about them. So take advantage of this chance to enjoy being light. You don't have to do it for very long. You can go back to being dark, mystic, mysterious, in the dirt. And this could not be more true. At least it's not an astronaut. You have many layers of truth to discover about yourself. Scorpios will say, well, the reason I still have so much to discover about myself is because, and then, a lot of them will blame it on other people. I didn't have the right partner. I wasn't in the right job. I didn't have the right environment. I didn't know these things then, right? So and I'm not bagging on you. I'm just saying that's usually there's usually some like, it's because, but now you're like, no, I'm ready. And I don't care what teacher I have or don't have, or partner I have or don't have, or whatever. Like, I'm ready to change. It's kind of cool to watch you do it. Sagittarius, you are good at focusing on yourself. And actually, this has been a theme for you for the last couple of months. But, on the inside, you usually are not, you're so kind of out in the world, and you're so adventurous, and you're so enthusiastic, and you're outdoorsy and all those things. So a lot of Sagittarians right now are being more reflective. This has been a pattern that we've seen, again, based on the astrology for the last couple of months. But energy is coalescing around you. It is gathering. You have support. Even if you can't see it, taste it, touch it, which you like to do that. Like you like to look around and go, there's nobody here supporting me. And it's like, okay, there is, but you got to trust there's energetic stuff going on too, right? The April new moon for you is about refining your practice, small steps to lay a foundation for big results, right? So your patience has been tested, Sagittarius, for like 3 months. And now you're like, when is this going to stop? The tides are turning a little bit now, and it's going to like slowly get better until summer solstice for Sagittarius. And nothing bad's going to happen at the solstice. I'm just saying that's when I think you're going to see a leveling out of all of this energy. Whew. So what is your card for Sag, for this like going within thing that is really critical for you right now? Lead with your soul. I love that as a Sag moon. You know, lead with your soul. What sits well with your soul? As a leader, I have never made a good decision when I'm listening to what other people say I should do, or I'm basing my decision on some external thing. Like, oh, everybody does it this way, or everybody wants this. It always has to like run through the filter of, okay, but like, does that sit well with my soul? And when I don't do that, when I just follow the crowd, I'm always regretful. But when I follow my soul, people will say, but you can't do that, or that's not the way it should be done, or blah, blah, blah. And then afterward, they'll be like, you made the right choice. Because I know that, now I just tell people to wait for it, right? But it's at the end of the day, your soul is the best calibrator for what's going to be a good outcome for you. And Sagittarians are uniquely built for that. Because we're the sign of the occult and wisdom, right? So we are the sign of, I'm not gonna take your word for it. I'm not even gonna take the numbers for it. I'm going to consult my spirit guides. I'm going to trust my intuition, right? Like that's what we do. Our wisdom, it comes from within. And we're always in search of truth. And truth doesn't sit in a book or on somebody's computer or in a person, right? Truth is above all of us. So Capricorn, any Capricorns? I'm North Node. So I always say, like, I play a Capricorn on TV because I can be pretty Capricorny. I'm a type A, outcome focused, results driven person for all of my woo-ness. I like to succeed. I don't like to fail. So Capricorns, you are shifting something about the foundation kind of your life, or what you do, or who you are, or who you're in a relationship with. And you're usually so conservative because you don't want to fail. So you're like, I'm not going to do anything or be with anyone or do anything that could jeopardize this. Because Capricorn is about the outcome. They're not about the process, right? So Capricorns will do anything to get to the end goal, for better or worse. And that's not always their best trait. So right now, Capricorns are like, I might want to have some fun. I might want to do things differently. I might want to be in a weird relationship with somebody, or just like it's kind of, and for you it feels so weird because you're so used to being so conservative, and the rest of us are like, woohoo, party people, like, where have you been? You've been all buttoned up and boring for so long. Like the rest of us are like, we've been waiting for you to break out of your mold and your routine and and here's why it's happening. Like the things that used to work, the things that used to create what you wanted, some of them aren't working anymore, or they're not there anymore. A lot of Capricorns have had major losses, significant relationships, jobs, a lot of them. And so the things that you think of as your foundation, the universe is already playing with it, right? So it's playing with it because it's like a test for you. What are you going to do when you don't know? When you can't rely on what's always worked? You have to come up with a new process, right? So you're rebuilding your foundation. People are looking to, and they're watching you because they're like, what are you going to do? You look so unpredictable right now. It's okay. And you're going to, if that hasn't happened to you yet, by the way, April, May, June, you're going to start being a little unpredictable, and people are going to be like, really? But you get to decide the terms of your life. And it can be more about you now than about the outcome, about the prize. And some of you got to the prize and you're like, that wasn't worth it. Well, shit. What happens when you get to the pinnacle, Capricorn, and you look around and you're like, I don't like this. I worked my whole life for this. I don't like the people who are here. I'm not enjoying the thing. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not in love. Like, whoa. I'm just saying. So Capricorn, what's your card? I hope it's not an astronaut. It just ruins everything for me. I should tell Bruce I want to do a whole astronaut deck. And just see what he says. Look at this card for you, Capricorn. Your success is closer than you imagine. Just keep going. Yeah, just keep going. One foot in front of the other. What do you do when you don't know what to do? What do the Buddhists tell you to do when you don't know what to do? When you're like, I'm so overwhelmed, I'm so sad, I'm so tired. What do they tell you? Chop wood, carry water. You get up, you brush your teeth, right? I mean, one foot in front of the other. Circe has the name of the deck. I don't know it. I was saying that at the beginning of tonight, so just stay tuned. Because I love this deck and I don't know the name of it, but she does, and she'll get the name later. I'm glad you like it, even though the art's weird. Aquarius, the Libra full moon is in an air sign too, right? So again, even though it's not an Aquarius full moon, because it's in an air sign in Libra, you're going to feel the effects of it pretty intensely, right? And so just being aware of that is really important because it is going to affect you. Gemini too, right? So Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra are all going to feel the effects of this full moon next weekend. Mars is going to move into your opposite sign. Hi, Aquarius, we're opposite signs. So when Mars moves into Leo, guess who that is almost hardest for? Again, look across the wheel, Aquarians. It's tough, especially if your Mars is in Aquarius. You're going to feel all sorts of triggered. And so just knowing that, right? Because again, here's a sign that doesn't really want to fight. You can be super shitty, by the way, when you fight. What do Aquarians do when there's conflict? What do they do? They do something that's very similar to their adjacent sign, Capricorn. And I'll tell you something, it's my least favorite tactic. I just can't stand it. But at least I know it. So when it happens, I don't, and Scorpio does it too. Whoa. They shut down. Right? They're not going to be the one that sends you 15 texts back, right? Pisces will. Pisces and sometimes Scorpio will send you 15 texts, but it's not going to be right away. Scorpio will ice you for 24 hours before they send the, I never liked you anyway, blah, 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 right? Aquarius, they may never speak to you again. Like they legit, Scorpio's going to come back with some shit and you better block that number before that stuff starts coming. Aquarius will just be like, it was nice knowing you. Thanks. And you're just like, okay. Now here's the thing with Aquarius. This is really intense for you guys. Okay. Ready? Aquarians are one of the signs that wants to do the right thing. We Sagittarians don't really think about that very much. We try to do the right thing, but I mean, we forget, and then we get lost. and then our bad friends influence us. And now we're at the party and now we don't know what the right thing to do is anymore. And we've had a drink and there's good music and a cute boy, right? And I don't know where my keys are. I lost my phone, right? So we try to do the right thing, but we are so influenced by our environment. Aquarius is not. Aquarius is like, no, the right thing to do is this, right? And sometimes the right thing to do, in your view, is not necessarily the right thing to do for other people. And so you get stubborn as shit. And then for an air sign, because you're the most stubborn of the air signs, right? So then you get stubborn and you're like, well, I'm just going to do what I think is best. And it's like, okay, well, but that's not what's best for everybody. Joe Babette. So be of service. It'll be hard to reconcile what's right for you and right for everybody else. But if you stop being stubborn, then you'll be able to see it and you'll actually do the right thing for everybody. What's your card, Aquarius? Wow, this is a good one for you too. You have to come back to the start to see what you missed before. All of this universe functions in cycles. Every system in your body, every cell in your body reorganizes every 7 years. That tree outside is on a cycle, right? Nature blooms, fruits, withers, and dies in a cycle, right? And to see what you missed, you got to go back to the beginning. You got to take the class again in order to really, this time you're going to get an A on the exam. Yeah. And then Pisces, Saturn is moving out of Pisces next year, 2026. Why am I mentioning that to you now when we're so far away from it? Because Saturn has been so hard on you, Pisces. You know what Saturn's about, right? Saturn is the father. I told you, you're going to do this or whatever. It's life lessons. It's patriarchy. It's like under the thumb, right? Saturn is hard. And Pisces Pisces now are at the point in my life anyway, where they're kind of broken by it. Like, all right, Saturn, you know what I mean? Like, you win. I'm tired. I'm doing my best. I'm trying to daydream and sleep over here because that's all I really want to do, right? Over it is an understatement. And this is every Pisces I know. So if you don't know what I'm talking about and you're a Pisces, then you're the only one, because not to, make you feel weird, but you're the only one who hasn't had a hard time the last year or two, because it's just felt like this, like, psst. So Saturn is moving out. The universe has been hard on you, but that's time bound. And you're going to start to feel the effects of the release of Saturn toward the end of this year. So, for a while, right? It's going to continue. I don't make the rules, but you can integrate the lesson of this time, because here's what I got intuitively for you guys. Okay. It feels really accurate. I think that this Saturn cycle stuff isn't so much bound to the planet, but it's bound to the fact that the universe wants to see you parent yourself. The universe wants to see you be hard on yourself. The universe wants to see you take responsibility and accountability and go, I can fix this. I can do this. I can lead this. I can decide this, right? And as soon as you step into that kind of sovereignty, which is out of the comfort zone, like Leos are like, we can do that all day long, right? For Pisces, no matter how old they are, have a little bit of a desire to be parented, right? Because Pisces is still a child energetically. It's part of their gift, right? They're endlessly youthful. Kids love them, animals love them, right? Because they just have this kind of like, they're effervescent, like the bubbles in a champagne glass. But they're not always good at like setting their own limits and restrictions, right? Even for Zoe, like setting an alarm. To the point where, she's told me in the past, like, I don't have an alarm on my phone. Really? So you have the one iPhone produced by Apple. Let me just be sure I'm clear. That doesn't have an alarm function. Well, it does, but it doesn't like go off at the time. So, okay. So you set an alarm, it has an alarm, but you are not able to hear it. It's happening in the fifth dimension, right? Like, really? Hi, Apple. I want to talk about this one iPhone here. So lead your life so others don't feel the need to come in and lead it for you. You hate that. Saturn will leave you alone once it sees you leading your life in the best direction for you. She got the one iPhone without an alarm. Every time. Yeah. What is the universe teaching me? At least I have a sense of humor. Well, this is a theme tonight, y'all. I think this is true, though. Pisces don't feel their light right now. They feel like they're in their shadow. And that sucks for Pisces, because Pisces has nothing if they don't have faith. Pisces has nothing if they don't have dreams. Literally, you take their dreams away. Don't do that, right? You don't take their dreams away. You don't take their security blanket away. I used to tell, like, Nick would fight with Zoe and try to take her blanket away. And she has like a blanket, right? It's a thing. And he doesn't have one. So he would like try to take it away. And I always used to say, you can fight with each other. You don't take her blanket away. You don't take someone's like thing, right? You don't take their dreams, you don't take their blanket, you don't take their, you don't, you know, you don't say certain things to people. Like there's just a line you don't cross. So that's the thing with Pisces. Saturn has been taking your blanket away, like ripping it away, and like you're just like, dude, like for real. So, and then of course, you know, we were together through February, right? So February, March, we're like all Pisces all the time, and all kinds of turmoil and disruption. So it's going to even out for you now that some of the rest of us are, you know, under the microscope. And great, because you had too much, and you've had too much for probably about 9 months. So then it'll come to an end, and Saturn won't come near you again in this part of your lifetime. So you'll get a little reprieve. Did you enjoy it? I'm going to tell you what, I don't know how it's 5:55 p.m. I feel like we just started. It's my classes for me are a time warp. I literally feel like I'm like, I want to give everything to you, but I want to have fun and like make it light. And I'm just like, and then I'm like, I'm going to leave a whole bunch of time at the end. I think it's because I'm used to teaching 3 hours. I always taught 3-hour university classes because I was a graduate school professor. And then I taught 3-hour classes with SG for a little while. And it was just like, gave me a spaciousness. That's why I like Gem Journey. But it goes by really fast. So do you have any questions in the remaining time that we have? I would love to answer them for you. Yay. I love that it felt like your old classes. Well, there's a little bit of me that's, you know, returning to myself right now. And you're, you know, for better or worse, you're watching it from the front row. Because nobody's telling me what to do. Which means it could get weird, right? I boss, as Zoe used to say. I the boss. Whoa. So yeah, full moon, you need a ticket. Get a ticket. Don't show up and say, I don't have a ticket. It's in person and online. And then we'll have the after party. So the way this is going to work is the after parties are going to be at SG, which is really cool. And so I'm going to hang out with everybody for the half an hour between the end of the event and the 6:30 hour. And then for people who are registered in class and in person, they can stay in person for the after party. And then if they don't want to, they can say goodnight and be on their way. And then I'll click go, and we'll be together for the last hour of our time together. You know what? That's a great idea. Thank you for that suggestion, Liz Moore. I think a pull for the collective is a good call. Are you down with it? Yay. Well, here's the thing. If you don't come this month, just try to come at some point. Like, you know, I always say everybody comes through LA at some point, right? So, and where SG is now, which isn't where it will be forever, by the way. But where it is now for a little while is really close to LAX. We're right down the 405 freeway from Los Angeles International Airport, like 15 minutes. So it's like, come on, come say hi. Okay, card pull for the collective. What do we all need to know about April? Such a great suggestion. Super thankful for it. Kind of holding on to my hat. Again, don't look at the art. What? Just look at the words. You have reached a new level and a new land to be discovered. There is something for you there. Not true. Don't look at her. It's weird. I mean, she's not weird, but just, you know, it's like apocalyptic, weird stuff. I don't know what it's about. You don't have to get a boat. It's just a horrible plane ride. Remember, I've been to Australia, New Zealand. You know, I ran our Southern Hemisphere, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia accounts for when I was a chief learning officer. So I had to go back and forth. And I flew Qantas, right? Which is one of my favorite airlines on earth. But even with Qantas, with incredible service, beautiful food, comfort, right? I'm still like 17 hours from San Francisco to Sydney. And then another 5 to Perth, and then, you know, more bouncing around Auckland, and then Johannesburg. And, well, you can't fly medically. Well, then I will have to teleport you. Honestly, you don't want that flight. Even with Qantas, which I adore, I could not. I mean, 17, 21-hour flights are not my jam. But there's something for you here in this new path. There's something for all of us in this new path. Oh my God, can you imagine us on a cruise ship? I don't know if that's a good idea. Because who's running that? You've got, 50 or 100 of us who don't listen, who don't follow orders, who don't take direction, who don't behave appropriately in public. Like, is there like a cruise police? Like, are there people who are gonna like, I don't know. I just worry. The captain doesn't care. What are they going to do? We're out in the middle of nowhere. Sorry, y'all. I'm just saying, I'm not the worst behaved among us, but I'm not the I'm not the best. Cheers! Thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. So a couple of reminders: sagegoddess.com is live. What I'm doing right now is I'm going through and I'm picking my favorite things. So each day, it's very intentional. I'm so enjoying it. Like, so each day I'm focusing on 3 things that I really love. So jewelry or a stone or whatever. We're making things. We're restocking old favorites and just putting those back into the website, and then making them right if they were weird. And then we're bringing slowly a couple new things. But there's going to be live gem sales soon on YouTube again, which I missed that very much. And but Hannah and Robin and Brooke and all of us on the ground are having an absolute blast. We're working very hard, but we're really enjoying the process too. And Lee is so incredible to be helping me maintain Lair, because I love Lair so much, and so I want to hold both tightly. And then Apothecary program is available for registration now. So if you missed it, it's at sagegoddess.com, and I'm back. I'm going to finish the last 6 months with you to keep my word. So yay, glad you're here. Yeah, Spirit Guide candles sold out. I'm sorry. Some of them, I did make a perfume for my launch that is the scent that I sent you on the free stones, because there's been a free tumbled stone with your order, like my top 5 stones for regeneration. And so Risorgo in Latin, which is one of my favorite languages, means I rise. And it's all these really light floral. It's got orchid and it's got frangipani, pure plumeria, which is insanely beautiful and expensive. But I wanted it to be like a uplifting, like I'm rising, right? So it's that's there. It's kind of a fun limited edition, and I had Naturalite. I don't know if it's sold out, which is one of the most important Synergy 12 stones for pain relief. So that was cool. Like, oh my God, and we had never put it on the website before. So Robin and I were like, how fast can we get Naturalite back? Like, holy shit! And it's got Isurine in it for protection. Like, it's cool. We've never had this kind of Naturalite before, and it's from Canada. So it was a new pocket of Naturalite. Isn't it pretty? And it has other minerals in it too for heart healing. And so anyway, if you don't need stones, don't worry about it. But in case you didn't know that I was back and in control, might be nice for you to check it out. All right, have a great rest of your night. Thank you to the Multipliers for all that you do in front of the scenes, behind the scenes. Appreciate every single minute. And I'll see you soon. So this next week is like all the things all the time. We have Magical Entrepreneur on Tuesday. We have the full moon coming up on Saturday. So it's just next week is a little bit jam-packed. So, but I hope you enjoy it. I'm super looking forward to it. So have a good night, you guys. We'll see you soon.